I don't know what to do with them. I have no clue what to do with the ones that they done ruined so bad that you can't let them walk down the street with regular people. Can you imagine how bad they done mess somebody up where they can't walk down the street with regular people lest they look for a cause of action to ruin somebody else's life? I was in there. I looked in some of the coldest, darkest eyes you could ever see. And I done looked in some of the coldest, bluest eyes you'd never see. And I done looked in some of the coldest hazel eyes you'd never see. But ain't none of these motherfuckers got no soul. And all these motherfuckers ain't pale. They got people who look like me. Look, I had a Bunky being so tormented. Well, Bunky is the dude that's your roommate in prison. Your Bunky, your Sally, depending on where you at. But I had one that was being so tormented that he used to have nightmares that's terrifying, the energy that's projected off of him while he's going through this nightmare. It make you look in the street. A lady wake up next to him having a nightmare might hurt him. She might hurt him. I don't know. You can't just turn them loose on no island like that. You know that used to be a way that they used to punish people in Europe, exile you to an island. But I mean, I don't believe in making people excessively suffer. So I wouldn't exile nobody to an island like that. But I don't know if y'all don't even know, y'all can't even imagine. I can get downright wicked and still won't scratch the surface of these people. I ain't backing down from no dragon, right? And some of these people gonna make the dragon back down. This is a whole nother level of destruction of the psyche of the human. This is worse than creating the Manchurian candidate, because this one don't have a shut-off code. At least a Manchurian candidate got a activation code and a shut-off code. Some of these creatures they made, these things that they did to people, right? So when we look back at the history, we don't see nobody explaining with a valid story of how we end up going from being slaves to owning all of this land. Look, the narrative that we told in history, ask anybody if I'm making this up that know our history. Frederick Douglass was said to have left the plantation after he whooped Massa. Let that marinate for a minute. Super nigga. He whooped Massa, left the plantation, and lived happily ever after. Don't that story sound a little fishy? Don't it sound a little weird? Frederick Douglass was a slave, so they say. And he got to be a teenager up in age. And the master came out there and jumped on Fred, and Fred whooped his ass. What's the one from the Boondocks? The super nigga from the Boondocks? Oh man, what's that dude name? Catcher Freeman. Catcher Freeman. That nigga had to be Catcher Freeman, man. Look, Frederick Douglass grew up on the plantation. Y'all paying attention, right? And now remember, if you put your hands on Massa, they killing you. And Massa came out, decided that Fred was getting too big for his britches. So we gonna learn him a lesson. Come here, Fred, I'm gonna learn you one today, boy. And went to whooping on Fred. Fred tore his ass up. You don't have to believe me. It's in the autobiography of Frederick Douglass, because he told that lie. He said that he whooped Massa and then he left. He didn't say he left running and sneaking. He said he packed his bags and left. Like he left with a duffel bag. Like he left. He walked off the plantation, broad open daylight, never looked back, and they ain't never come pursuing him. This the story they tell us now. We supposed to believe it. Anybody do this sound strange or oddly off a little bit to anybody besides me? He in the plantation south. On the plantation with the slave master. Look, Frederick Douglass wrote in his autobiography, he grew up on the plantation. When he got to smelling his testicles, the master came out there trying to force him to do something. Him and Fred get to scrapping. He gonna learn Fred something today. And Fred turned around and learned Massa a lesson. He didn't just learn him a lesson. He learned Massa a lesson. Then he went and packed his bag and left in broad open daylight. He just walked off the plantation with no resistance. Nobody not saying, I paid $300 for you. None of this. He just walked off the plantation. Why would they let one of us, when in the height of slavery now, we supposed to be oppressed. We supposed to be beyond oppressed. We supposed to be less than human with no rights. And they just let this one catcher Freeman decide after he whooped Massa ass, he just gonna walk off the plantation. And we don't find that story kind of fishy. But I brought Frederick Douglass up for a different reason. But that just sticks out so broad in my mind. Like, who is this nigga to whoop the master and then walk off with no resistance? Right? So look, there was a bank in the Carolinas, I think, and the bank was in distress. Frederick Douglass had the money and the means to bail the bank out. Where you get that money from? Anybody hustles the block know it ain't easy to come up with $1,000. It's not easy to get $1,000. Frederick, fresh out of slavery, whooping a slave master, supposed to be in hiding. Mind you, he supposed to be in hiding, but he some kind of way come up with enough money to bail this bank out. Where you get all that money from? And what about them other Negroes that was also having all of this money to support, finance, and maintain banks? Where them banks go, though? Who absorbed them, and how did they end up losing their prominence and power? See, those was tribal banks is what y'all not paying attention to. And these tribal banks was being shut down by outlaws. And as the outlaws shut down tribal banks, the corporate bank then had to expand because other banks was not able to keep up with a stable currency. So the currency that's stable is the one that's coming out of the U.S. Mint. And it wasn't the Federal Reserve at that time, but Congress was printing and producing the money for the corporation. Those are just credits. That's why they're not backed by nothing. They had nothing to do with the real wealth of the land that's being extracted by the outside forces. Those are credits. Those are internal notes to only further to settle debts within the circle of those who were supposed to be under their own vine and fig tree. And their vine and fig tree was defined by the original constitution that only gave them 13 colonies. And then they had a centralized colony called DC that came about on the heels of the Constitution when they instituted the artificial Masonic government under the Scottish Rite Freemasons. And they began to set up Washington, D.C., which was Rome. And then they tell you all roads lead to Rome. And Rome, that D.C. was founded by a guy named Francis Pope. Ain't that something? we on our way out of this and Pope Francis is the Pope of Rome? Or so they tell us. I think he a robot. They keep sliding him under the bed every night. I couldn't figure out for the longest why they keep putting this man in this box until I zoomed in a little closer and I looked and I was like, oh shit, he ain't even human. I thought he was a vampire at first and that was the old vampire in the coffin. No, he ain't even human. He's a whole android. That's like Mark Zuckerberg. He just, whatever data is on Star Trek, that's what Zuckerberg is. They the same. They the same amount of a sentient being. Not the actor, the character the actor on Star Trek is playing. That character of Data, that's what Mark Zuckerberg is. And he haven't aged since junior high school. He still looked the same. Make it make sense. What did he do? Grew 3-4 inches since junior high school? Come on now. Make it make sense. It don't make sense. Nobody that got regular blood pumping through their veins defying age without the assistance of a genetic correction. And believe me, he ain't got access to it yet. Okay, so now the whole purpose of making us think we from Africa. I'm going to do another video in the next couple of days. Why I would be proud to be an African if I was from Africa. I'm not African, but I love them some, the Mau Mau. Patrice Lumumba. Walter Rodney. Stephen Biko. Right? Mau Mau. They went through the same thing we went through. The history is very, very similar, only they took some of us from over here and dumped over there so that they could tell us that we are from over there when they go get their DNA and then they try to match our DNA up. And we too stupid to see what the game they playing. They taught us how to be this stupid because the human is naturally not this dumb. You cannot be this dumb by nature and be a human. We had to be systematically taught how to be dumb as a human, because like right now where I'm at, I'm teaching on a 6th grade level the information that I be putting out. That's 6th grade in the temple complex. Where you could get a good understanding of where we how complicated education was in the temples of Kemet versus now. Aesop's Fables. Aesop's Fables is children's story. The Aesop's Fables is children's story to prime them for higher education. And half the adults now do not get Aesop's Fable. They can't understand Aesop's Fables. That was for 3 and 4-year-olds in ancient Kemet. Go back, get the book Aesop's Fables and just read it. Matter of fact, go get the PDF online for it's free, just so because you need to understand how low our intelligence has failed from when we was at our Kemetic peak, and them was idiots compared to the Atlanteans, right? They was idiots compared to the Atlanteans. They didn't have to never let us go through this. But Prime Creator said, let nature take its course and you gonna win in the end. Because you done naturally belong to the earth. You naturally supposed to be here and they don't. So nature said, let everything run its course as nature does. And as nature run its course, they can't keep up with the race because they not naturally from here. So at some point, somebody's going to pull a plug on their agenda, right? I put a post up on Instagram, and it's on my Facebook too, because whatever I put up over there, come over here. But the post was about the white horse, and it was making reference to the horse in the Olympics, and the Pegasus. These are all three, like, for years, I've been listening to Bible scholars. I'm talking about with PhDs called the pale horse white. They it don't say that in the book. It calls the pale horse a pale horse, and it calls the white horse the white horse. But I've been hearing people teach the pale white horse since I was a little boy, and there's nowhere in it does it say pale white. It just said pale horse. Now there's a new translation of the Bible, and that's the Mandela effect, where they called it a pale green horse. But if you want to know the color of a pale horse, it's a Clint Eastwood movie called The Pale Rider. And it's supposed to be based on that verse, the pale, and behold, a pale horse, and whose name that set upon him was death, right? But that's not who the white horse is. The white horse is mentioned twice in Revelations. In the Pegasus horse is mentioned, I think, in the book of Acts, which is the winged horse, which was a symbol of mythology. The Pegasus horse was supposed to only be a horse ridden by the gods, not a unicorn. A winged unicorn and a unicorn are two different mythical creatures. But a lot of times they pass them off as being the same mythical creature. But when the wings are on them, that tells you that it's not for the mortals. This is for the ones that call themselves the gods. Or, as they say, the royal families of the earth with the divine right of kings. But the divine right really comes to the earthborn through their right of mitochondrial succession. And this is why it's supposed to be matriarchal. And this is why we got to go back to it, because if the matriarchy is not the sacerdotal seat, we have hell on earth. When the matriarch is the sacerdotal seat, with a matriarch sitting on it, we have heaven on earth. The state of mind, heaven and hell, becomes physical condition by the wrong system operating in the wrong place. That's like trying to cut a loaf of bread with a chainsaw, right? Or trying to saw down a tree with a butcher knife. The chainsaw overkill for slicing the loaf of bread, and the butcher knife ain't gonna cut it on chopping down a tree, right? When you use the right system, the matriarchal system have certain key elements, and these are what we call binding elements for tribal structures, and that's why the tribal mother always had the final say. Because at the end of the day, we all go running back to mama with tears in our eyes, blowing snot bubbles out our nose, crying because somebody took our stuff in the street. Mama gonna tell you, get yourself together, and she gonna go, well, who was it? How many was it? What they do? Okay, this how you get your stuff back. Now don't come back crying to me. Go get your shit. That's how Big Mama used to do it. Now everybody's so busy crying, ain't no Big Mamas to tell us how to get our shit back. So my Big Mama told me, you remember your past life structures, how you went and did everything before? Yeah. She said, you're going to have to do that again. I said, oh man, you mean I gotta go wrestle with these niggas? I don't want to wrestle with these niggas. They the worst motherfuckers to try to wrestle with, because they got the blood right, that make them entitled to the point where they don't have to do the work required to fulfill their blood right function. There's the blood and the right does not automatically present you with the prize. Because if you don't develop your spiritual, mental, emotional self and your physical self to be worthy, then you make yourself unworthy by failing to do what's required of you by birthright in order to secure your birthright. And when I was building me, I wasn't trying to get my birthright because it hadn't clicked yet what I had to do and what I was doing. I just knew that from somewhere in this foul work, one of us got to have enough sense to say, I don't like the way life is presented for me and most of us. So I'm going to develop myself to the point where the people that have been looking down on me say, if he can do it, I know I can. All my hater committee, they can be hating on me when they find out that I was right the whole time. They gonna be inspired now. Cause the little bit that they thought I was, I end up being a giant trapped in the goddamn vial. They open the vial and now you can't put the giant back in. Same as Pandora's box. So if I can do it, if I can build me up to the point to remember how to restore the tribal structure and call other clans to form and restructure the clans, everybody want me to do the work for them. I can't do everybody work. I can only do my work. It just so happened that the work that I'm doing, if you're paying attention, to give you the necessary instructions to restructure and rebuild. But if you think I'm crazy and you cast me to the side, then you're going to have to wait till we in charge in order for us to really exercise and move like we in charge. And we can't get in charge with a bunch of buffoons running around talking about they woke, they conscious, but they doing all kind of shenanigans and tomfoolery. Look, if people are selling their spiritual gifts, they selling their soul for pennies on the dollar or less. When I come out here, I did all that research, investigation. I wasn't trying to do nothing for nobody. I was just trying to be a better person. I didn't know that came with a side effect. I didn't know that the side effect of trying to be a better person is you end up being the best version of yourself, and that comes with benefits that you have to fight for, but you can't be gang banging, you got to be brain banging. Look, when you are a blood heir and you realize it and you tell somebody, at that point you are now what they call the pretender to the throne. The pretender to the throne is this. This is exactly what it means. You are the next heir to ascend the throne if you fulfill your work and develop your noble character to be worthy to sit on the throne. So now you got a birthright, but you also have a due diligence you have to do in order to secure what's your birthright. If you start building on yourself when it's time for you to collect your birthright, because we got different ages, because we got different clans require different ages for stuff to take place. In some clans, you become a man at 13, but in other clans, you don't become a man till you 33. And then you got clans that fall all in that spectrum. And then in some clans, it don't matter how old you is, if you don't know how to run the farm, you can't never have no wife because you ain't no good husband. And they got us believing that a good man and a good husband is the same thing. You can be a good man and be a failure as a husband. You can be a good husband and a failure as a man. It's the same. You can be a good auto worker. At work, you a bad mofo, but at home, you's a piece of trash. Right? Because you good at one thing will not automatically make you good at another. But anything that you apply yourself to improve yourself in, you're going to be better than you was yesterday, today. And tomorrow, you're going to be better than you are right now. And if you don't have that concept, you're going to be lost in the shuffle. And you're going to be always chasing the Joneses. And so we come in, we got all of this baggage with us, and we want to tell people, I don't need no leader. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Oh, I just got to tell her what's on my... All that's the wrong answer. All that's the wrong answer. I don't care who you is. When you don't know how to do something, you need somebody that you can call that knows how to get it done. That's leadership. The person is just as much leader for knowing who to call to get the job done as the person that know how to get the job done. They don't have to be your lifetime leader. Your plumber is your leader when it comes to your plumbing, if you don't know plumbing. So you let the plumber do the plumbing and get out of his way. Your electrician is the leader when it comes to fixing your electrical problems. So you ain't the electrician. Go sit your ass down and get out the electrician way and let the electrician deal with electricity before you get your ass shocked. Right? You allow the person with the skill set to lead you out of the circumstance in order for you to go ahead and be your own leader. But you got to be willing to follow first before you can even learn how to apply the skills of leadership. Everybody want to be at the destination, but they don't want to listen to the man with the map. No. He the only one with the map? No, I'm not listening to him because he got a Jerry curl. But he the only one with the map. His wife too short. What? He the only one with the map. I don't like people that drive Buicks. He the only one with the map. Nah, because he only got German Shepherds and I like pit bulls. What? He the only one with the map. Oh no, he a Muslim and I'm a Christian. He the only one on earth out of 8.4 billion people with the map that know how to read the map and is telling you what the map say. Nope. Nope. He wear Reeboks. You know, we like J's around here. He the only one with the map. On 8 billion people, nobody else got a map. He the only one got a map and the only one know how to read. No. His beard got too much gray in it. What? Any excuse to be a derelict failure, not to perform your due diligence to liberate yourself from the oppressive ideologies of the oppressor, you find every excuse to stay oppressed under the name of fighting to get free. You don't have to fight to get free. You have to fight to be in bondage. This is the part they not telling you. Freedom does not come with a fight. Bondage comes with a fight. You got to force yourself to stay ignorant enough for them to keep running the shenanigans on you. That's how you end up staying perpetually in servitude, generation after generation. Everybody want to go along to get along, and nobody don't want to be around the nigga that upset the peace. Everywhere he go, him and the police having it out. Maybe he right and the police wrong. And he know it enough to know that they ain't supposed to be here. So every time them some bitches pull up, he's trying to tell y'all they don't belong here. They are a military occupying force, displacing tribes all across the land under the false pretense of enforcing some shit called the goddamn law. They tricked us in this divergence. It's time for convergence now. It's time to defy all tools that divide and conquer. That includes skin color, that includes religion, that includes your scientific field. You think because you understand melanin and this other person only understand hemoglobin that y'all that drastically different where y'all can't communicate in the similarity between melanin and hemoglobin? You some damn fools. Oh, you an oncologist and you only talk to other oncologists, so you don't care what a neurologist got to say about the condition of the brain. That's how we move. And they taught us that. That's not natural to us. It is an outside foreign behavior because we dealt with everything from the perspective of what we call holistics. Mean holy. W-H-O-L-L-Y, not H-O-L-Y. Holy, as in the whole of a thing. Right? You deal with an organism holistically. right? So when you understand the purpose of each one of the systems within the organism, then you know how to treat the organism holistically by understanding which system is malfunctioning. Right now, all of us need to go buy a brain. I don't know where they sell them at, but half of these people brain, there's probably some old decrepit brains that's partially decayed in the grave that can think better. This is horrible. I never would have came back to this shit. I wish they would have never conjured my ass up because I don't need to be here. But since I'm here, I'm gonna push this motherfucking shit till y'all get it. Y'all gonna get it sooner or later. I'm gonna keep telling the truth. I'm gonna keep showing you the stage show they showing you where they try